Hello YouTube, all my friends from the past. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I've been preoccupied with other projects, and basically I wanted to take the time to, put together a video, just kind of an update as to what I've been doing. Anybody that's seen my other videos knows, I think in my last couple of videos I kind of referred to um, some strange experiences that have been happening to me. And one of them was a revelation of this magnetic flux or counter rotating magnetic fields. And at the time, I didn't know what it was about. I just kind of started building Bedini motors and accelerators and a bunch of stuff I was working on. And about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, I guess, I had a lucid dream, one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had, and it was a funny kind of a thing. I was like in this shopping mall, and at the end of the shopping mall there was a stage, and there was a big curtain across the stage, and I went up on the steps and went up on the stage and went to the exit, the side exit of the stage, and there was like a gate, and I went through this gate and found myself like on this other world, and it looked like ours in terms of sunlight and temperature, humidity, and that kind of thing, but the buildings were elevated, and there was all these flying saucers everywhere, and they were parked in elevated garages, inside the garage, outside the garage, on the sides of the garage. They were parked like postage stamps stuck on the side of the buildings, and there was no gravity. And I got these visions of these dual magnetic hemispheres. They're like toroids, counter-rotating. And I got the images of these sacred geometries again, predominantly hexagons. And so when I got out of the dream, I came into my room, where I got my computer and all my design stuff, and I started sketching these designs, and they were based on what I'd learned in the dreams. And I came to realize that it's possible that the dreams were a message to me. I know that sounds kind of out there, science fiction-ish and stuff, but our planet and our solar system is going through some really weird energy changes, and it's manifesting certain things in people that nobody can explain, and nobody certainly ever expected. And for me, it's always kind of been related to levitation. I can't tell you why. But I sketched together my first design, which was a live shaft, a live axle, anchored at the bottom and anchored midway with bearings. This green rotor is a plate with neodymium magnets, north side up, south side down, two drive coils which are also on a rotating plate so that they can counter-rotate each other. And in my head, I envisioned these two toroidal shaped hemispheres of magnetic energy, magnetic flux. I had no way to generate power, and I didn't know how to do it, but I did some research, Brown's levitation theory and that kind of stuff led me to believe that, we can take power out of the ionosphere. We can create static, high voltage static electricity. So I incorporated at the end of this live shaft with these, essentially they're static generators, um, north and south, or positive and negative. It's all based on, that Brown's levitation deal is based on potential, the differential in potentials between north and south, or negative, positive, and negative ionic energy. So I threw this thing together, and I realized that, I got this huge coils, and I had 6. This is the topography up here, and this is the plan view down here. I had hexagon positions, and I have all these coils rotating, huge magnetic or huge centrifugal forces, and I need gyro, yeah, but that's just too much rotating mass. So I changed to an 8-point where I had the coils still rotating in one direction, and the upper rotor plate with the neodymium magnets, it also rotated in an opposite direction. And essentially both of those things will give you 2 opposing toroidal magnetic hemispheres. But then I had no way to generate power in that design. I kind of did some more research and come across this guy named Otis Carr, who back in the late 50s and early 60s designed this Utron technology, where he essentially used ring magnets and coils and got this plate to rotate, and these little Utron, they're opposing conical shaped rotary devices that they generate, magnetic forces in the opposite direction. And that there was nothing concrete with this, and I just felt like I was kind of going down an avenue that I wasn't, technically knowledgeable enough to pursue. Not like any of this is really. This is the plan view of it. It has 8 points based on sacred geometries, of course. You can see these counter-rotating Utrons. Well, these other motors that I've been doing were based on either Bedini, pulse motor technologies. Then I got to this other idea where I had a center rotating mass, and this is to create gyroscopic, which is a stabilizer. If you're going to have a spaceship, you need a gyro. Just about with anything, even ships on the ocean have gyros to compensate the rolling motions of the oceans and stuff. I had this one plate as a gyro, and another, the generator, the generator coil, it was also rotating mass, where I put them on it's essentially a big ring. This is a big plate, aluminum plate. This is a ring. I was thinking probably polycarbonate. And then this is an aluminum ring that goes around the whole circumference. And then I have 12 groove ball bearings that hold this ring, the drive plate coil ring, in position. And then I have static electricity generator up on top, and I was thinking about a plate capacitor on the bottom. This is a viable deal, but I think I would probably incorporate a northern hemisphere negative or positive ionic propulsion or static generator to create or to capture, ions from the north, and then of course you need a south or whatever to generate, and then to generate the current to go into this plate, and then through induction I would somehow get the power to these coils. Another this is not a trip, this is a journey, and I got a lot to learn, and I'm just at the initial stages of putting this stuff together, all based on half-assed theory that I learned through reading and through all the different stuff you find on the internet. And so I gravitated to another design which I thought was a little bit more viable because it gets rid of the rotating mass. I have a single drive plate, which is this red section. It's mounted to the fuselage on a big plate that's in the interior of the ship. On top of that plate, on top of that insulator, I have two aluminum plates. And then this is a hexagon, so we're back 6-point geometric shape. And now I have an upper northern rotating plate based on the northern drive pulse, the northern portion of the coil, and then a counter-rotating southern plate with neodymiums rotating in the opposite direction. And using this upper large static generator, I was going to try to transfer that static energy into these two upper plates, kind of like plate capacitors, and then somehow incorporate the electronics within this hatched area of the insulator so that I can achieve the proper frequency. I come to learn that pyramids were not built as tombs. Pyramids were based on ancient technology, but much more advanced than anything we have, because pyramids are actually power generators for advanced civilizations that were here before us. And the very design of these pyramids, the ionic energy between our ionosphere and Mother Earth, and at a certain percentage on the height of those pyramids, some researchers have recently measured a resonant frequency associated with the function of this generation, this energy generation, and it still happens. They still generate the power. The ones in China, the ones in Bosnia, the ones, every place they have these pyramids still work. They actually had rivers, underground rivers that were flowing through there, and they create this energy. And they measured at a certain point of these pyramids, they actually measured 28 kilohertz. So the resonant frequency of these pyramids activate at 28 kilohertz. So I figured that I would pulse these coils in a dual phase at 28 kilohertz. Of course, that's why I bought a function generator, is so that I can play with the frequencies, because just like John Hutchison, when he did the levitation, he used acoustic resonance to levitate and to change matter. So along the same principle, it's possible, I think, to achieve electronic modulation levitation by achieving the resonant frequency of a given mass. Like this whole spaceship would have a combined resonance frequency that once it sustained that right frequency, it would counteract the gravitational force. And that's essentially the theory behind what I'm trying to achieve. And so I've been building some of the stuff, some of the components, some of these plates and stuff. But then I was like, well, how am I going to build the craft? And as I was waiting for parts, I decided I was going to go with a piece of 4x8, quarter-inch thick. It's a masonite, heavy, real dense wood. And I cut all these diameters out, and they all have a same exact central pinhole. And then I stack all of those diameters up on top on a central pin, and it gives me this serrated edge. And then by using, mold making technologies or techniques, I could create a mold that I can use to make an upper and a lower half of the fuselage. And I done that, and so to create a prototype, I built a fixture that solidly mounts the shaft in the fixture at the bottom and at the top. And this is one angle looking at it, this is the other angle. And I use dual bearings on the upper and lower plate to maintain stability in the plate. And I was going to try to create static electricity with these static plates. I got an upper drive plate, a lower drive plate sandwiched in between the insulator. The upper static plate over here is the northern hemisphere, and I have plastic over it with the Wimhurst conductors, and then of course a southern lower static plate. So you can see I've been pretty busy. Here's the circuit, the drive circuit that I'm using. It's based on a FET. I have pulse width modulation going into the FET. Channel 1 in, channel 2 in, and then I have channel 1 out so I can monitor my my wave function and the relationship between the northern and the southern plates. Then I got the coils, 3 coils in each cycle. So it's a phase rather in each phase. So I have three coils for phase 1 and 3 coils for phase 2. Kind of looks like this. Pulse width modulation into the resistor, into the gate. Force of 12 volts through the coils. It looks like I have this diode backwards. Like I said, it's a journey and I'm learning a lot. But let me show you what I did, what I've done so far. And I'm going to move the camera, so bear with me. These are rotors, the rotor plates, and they have plexiglass on them. I'm going to use a high pressure, high-tech pressure sensitive adhesive film in between it, and then once it's adhered to it, then I'll be able to just push the neodymium magnets. And they're pretty powerful neodymiums in both the northern plate and the southern plate. This is my drive plate. It's got a 1-inch thick insulator and then a 0.2 inch thick aluminum plate on the upper and the lower. I'm going to try to use those as capacitance plates. And then I have the 6 coils, and they're essentially drive coils. They're 1.25 inches long, 1 inch in diameter. No. Yeah. And there's 6 of them. They're around 6 ohms each. And I'm going to pulse, coil 1, 3, and 5 as phase 1, and then 2, 4, and 6 as phase 2. With the 2 outputs, I bought a new function generator. It has 2 triggered outputs. And then I'll interface this board, which is power MOSFETs. I'm still waiting on a couple components and stuff, and variable gate trim, and this is the housing, or fixture, whatever you want to call it. This is this shaft. Everything's going to line on this shaft, and this shaft is carbon fiber. That way I don't have a bunch of electricity shooting around, or shorten the capacitor out in between the capacitor plate levels. This lower mount, the drive plate is hard pinned to this lower mounting position, with the 2 stator plates positioned above it with this spacer holding them relative to the plate, the drive plate. And then let's see, and I got my mold started. That's it. That's the mothership. It's been contoured and it's prepped. It's got like 5 layers of urethane paint on it, and I'm going to put another layer of silver urethane paint. It's pretty big. It's the diameters of my coils and drive plates exactly 12 inches. This thing is 2 feet. It's 24 inches wide, and that's Carl Edwards' car on there. I wanted you to try to get a little perspective on how big that thing is. It's pretty big. And it's in 2 pieces so that I can independently make the upper shell and the lower shell. And that's it. That's looks like I got some shit on the screen here. And that's it. That's where I'm at. So like I said, it's a journey, and I'm just kind of getting to the fun part where I can start doing stuff, making things move, trying to develop the technologies, and I just, I promised a couple guys that I was going to, share an update where I'm at, what I'm doing, and that's essentially it. So, like I said, it's a journey. I will try to keep you guys updated as much as I can, and I hope you guys, stick around and watch as this thing tries to develop, and, any inputs is fine. you guys know I'm open to inputs and suggestions, and if we can keep the CIA out of this and not get in trouble, that'd be a big move. But I don't think I have to worry about that until I start getting this thing off the table. But like I said, you guys drop me a line, drop me any suggestions or ideas. Those are always appreciated, and maybe together we can all develop some kind of technology that would be really fun to play with. So that's it for now. You guys be good. I'll talk to you guys later.